There is one thing that all the top professional fighters are doing, which is keeping them much, much safer, much further out of range for longer periods of time, which you're probably not doing, which is what I'm going to help you out in this video. And that is just keeping your weight more on the back leg than it is on the front leg. And dropping this rear shoulder down slightly lower than this lead shoulder. You see the position that I've changed from originally being here, where my weight is evenly distributed, or slightly forwards, and my shoulder's the same height, or my lead shoulder being lower, compared to my weight being here and my rear shoulder being here. All right, look at how much further back my head is here than it is here. I'm much more vulnerable there. Okay, so now I'm gonna go through the reasons on why you should actually consciously focus on keeping your weight on the back leg. The first one being, what is the number one way to not get hit in a fight? It's obviously to just step out of range. Put your head further away from your opponent than it already was previously, okay? Instead of, slipping where I'm actually getting closer, or just dipping where I'm staying the same, stepping out, there's a butterfly in there. Stepping out of range means that I can definitely no longer be hit, because they can't just teleport forwards and punch me. They've got to step, they've got to throw the punch. It takes time. I'm out of range, it doesn't matter. But what if we could do that instantly, all the time, whilst we're punching, whilst we're moving around, whilst we're defending, which just means that we're constantly out of range, and we seem like we're in range, but we're not, okay? That's keeping that weight back. So as I said at the start, weight on the back leg with this rear shoulder being slightly lower brings my head much further away from my opponent's striking range, which means that I can get my feet closer to them while still staying safe. All right. Originally, if I didn't have my weight back and my shoulder down, I'd have to get my feet closer, and I'm vulnerable here in this position. But if I'm here and I get my feet closer, I'm still safe, and I've got more leeway. I can get my feet as close as I want without even getting caught, by just keeping my head further and further back. Keeping my head further and further out of range whilst keeping my feet closer means that I can gauge the distance much better, meaning that I can be safer on the attacks, the defenses, and whilst moving around in general, just from that one small adjustment. That's why this should be, especially if you're a beginner boxer, the biggest aha moment that you should have, because once you take this over into your sparring, you'll realize how easy boxing can actually be if you learn the fundamentals correctly. The second reason why we want to consciously focus on keeping our weight back is because we can only actually punch off our back foot. When we're punching forwards in our stance, right? We're not punching behind ourselves like this. There's no one there. We're fighting someone in front of us. So our weight needs to be on the back leg so we can push off the back leg. Right? If the weight wasn't on the back leg, how are we going to push off it? Right? The weight needs to be here so that I can direct my force forwards, okay? Not backwards. Otherwise, it would need to be on the front leg for it to be directed backwards, right? But we're trying to go forwards. Therefore, that means I can't really punch properly unless this back leg is in range and the weight's on it, right? If I was trying to come into range like this and then punch from here, I'm going to have no ability to push in that direction, so I can get my force of my punches going in that direction. Because all my weight's on my front leg, I can only push backwards from here, which doesn't help me unless I'm throwing like a lead hand hook or something like that on the way out. So we need to make sure our feet stay underneath us as we're closing the range, right? And that's where creeping comes in, where you get your back foot underneath your hips like this, right? Or underneath my rear shoulder like this. That's a good gauge. You could draw a line from my back foot straight up here to my rear shoulder. And then I'm just going to shuffle this back foot in underneath me as I come forwards. So every time I go forwards, I'm going to bring this back foot in first. Instead of going open and then close, I'm just going to go close and open with a little skip. All right, and that means that I can just follow my opponent around the ring, keeping my back foot under me, my weight loaded here, ready to throw my punches, or get out easier. If my weight's on the back foot, I can actually get out easier, contrary to popular belief. People think, I need my weight forwards to be able to push backwards. But in actual fact, getting out of range doesn't require you to push backwards. It actually just requires you to fall backwards. So all you're actually doing when you shift backwards is you're picking this foot up, and because all the weight's on it, you naturally fall this way. And as you fall, you push with the front foot, and then you just glide backwards. So having your weight back means that you can get out of range quicker, like this, as opposed to having it here, having to push forwards, and you're almost leaving your head behind, and you're leaving it in range for even longer. Right, that's how important keeping your weight back is. You're literally leaving your head on offer for a longer percentage of time when it doesn't need to be, where you have less power because you can't punch off the front foot unless you're punching someone behind you. It's safer, you can punch off it, and you can creep your feet and gauge the distance a lot better. There's not just one variable of you being able to gauge the range better of being on the back foot. There's actually multiple variables that being on the back foot unlocks, okay? If I keep my weight on the back foot and gauge the range whilst it's here by creeping my front foot as close as I can to my opponent's foot, so I know my feet are in range, and now I know I can land, but also there's other things I can do. For example, I can lean back here, right, if I wanted to get out of range. If I wanted to get close enough to punch, right, but keep my feet still and still make them miss, I can just lean back like this, right, because my weight's already supported here. Or I could even transfer my weight even further back and use my legs to come out of range a little bit further. Then what I could do is, because my weight's already on the back leg, I can fall back a little bit and catch myself in a lay back, right, or a little drop step, little half step like that. Just catch myself falling back. I can adjust the range so easily when I'm right on the edge of it. My weight's on the back leg. I can use my lead hand to create space. I can use my lead hand to land the jab. I can do loads of different things from that position, and I'm still safe. I'm still not getting caught. I'm still out of range from my opponent. And that's where that sort of deception comes in, because this is where you can make your opponent comfortable. And now this is the actual trick which you're going to use to counter. So if my weight's on the back foot and I'm getting really close in, they can feel my presence. My opponent can feel my presence of me closing the distance. They know how far away I am, or at least they think they know how far away I am, based on my feet. My feet are nice and close. They're like, well, he's in punching range, but because my weight's so far back, I'm deceptively not in punching range because my head's so far back. And that is where they make mistakes, and that's where you capitalize on those mistakes. Okay, as soon as they think that I'm in punching range, but my head's far enough back so I'm actually not in punching range, that is when they'll throw a punch, realize it's not going to land, and what will they do? The opposite of what you're doing. They're going to come forward like this. They try to reach you because you're so far back here. You're delusionally far back, so they're going to go mid-punch, realize they're not going to hit you, and they're going to reach forwards like this. They're doing the opposite to what you're doing. What does this mean? As we already know, my weight's on the front leg. I can't punch from here, right? Or at least I can, but just not very hard, okay? I can pull back with a shot or whatever, but that's about all I can do, right? Once I'm here, I'm pretty stuffed as far as power punching goes. And my head is literally so on offer when I'm trying to reach for a punch. That's where, 99%, well, probably not 99, let's say 90% of exchanges are won are simply in capitalizing on their opponent overreaching because of this weight distribution fault that you could completely eliminate from your boxing skills by just having this weight back here. As long as it's here, you ain't going to get hit. You just got to watch Shakur Stevenson or someone like that who's a master at this, of keeping that weight back, using the Philly shoulder, using the lead shoulder, and just constantly pulling back and blocking shots here. It's pretty much impossible to hit because the only area you can punch me is here. But I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, and I've got this. I've got loads of different things that I can do. So it makes it really, really difficult for you to hit me when my weight is back. Pairing your weight distribution with the creeping with your head out of range with some light touching jabs to gauge the range. By the way, when you're doing this, do not bring this rear shoulder up. Don't just go like this because you're just destroying everything we've just learned. Okay, keep the shoulder back here and just use this, just the arm as a punch. Okay, I know a lot of people say push off the back foot and You know, it can use your body weight to generate power. But in actual fact, all that's doing is just taking that safety net that you have away. And we want to maintain that by just keeping the shoulder low. So I can always block here. The shoulder's naturally higher on my jab, so I can hide behind it. My weight's back more, so I'm further away. And I can just flick the jab. As long as I get a good twist of my wrist over, I can flick a pretty fast jab out from over here, where I'm well out of range. Super easy. It doesn't have to have power. It's just got to find the range. Now we've got that to find the range. We're creeping the feet in. The weight's back. They can't hit us. They're overreaching. That's where everything just gets easy. And you can just sit back here and time them as they come in with whatever counters you want. As soon as they're overreaching, they're playing into your game, then that's where you're countering them. Okay, so this is, I believe anyway, the best boxing style to have is someone who comes on the front foot, but does it in a way they deceptively create some sort of illusion of distance with this. Sorry, I worded that shit. They deceptively create that illusion of distance by keeping their weight back, creeping their feet forward, okay, and then just picking you off using counters, whatnot. Okay, this video was about weight distribution, and I hope it gave you a massive aha moment, because it definitely did for myself mainly, and all the members I've coached in my community, my online boxing program. If you're interested, check the link in the description. It was a big aha moment for most of them. So I hope it is for you. I hope this helped, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.